It's Wednesday. So you know what that means? Yeah, Wine Wednesday. Join your host, James McGee, for a glass of wine and discussion about current events. No matter what's going on in the world, it's easier to swallow mixed with some wine.
Welcome back to another episode of Wine Wednesday. I am your host. I am James McGee. So first off, let's talk about what wine I'm drinking. I try to keep them the under $20 bottle of wines. So I got this one at for $15 or $16. It is, I think I've had it before. It's been a while. Fit Vine from California. It's a cab. I'm drinking cab when you see me. So it's got less sugar. My daughter turned me on to this. We're on a less than uh, low sugar kick. Been on it for a while. Said kick. Been on it for a while. Been on a animal based diet for a while, and try to limit my glasses of wine, and definitely trying to limit our sugar intake. So this is really good. This is a really good wine. Uh, does for a diet wine, it's supposed to be a diet wine. It really pretty damn good. So pick you up a bottle. Where I buy, if I'm in a hurry, sometimes I'll buy wine. If you have an Albertsons, man, Albertsons are really good prices on wine. I buy mine at or a local store, local liquor store. Homsey's a friend of mine, but I had to go get a bottle at grocery store down from my house, Rouse's. It's not the cheapest in wine. So if that was $16 there, it's probably going to be 14, 15 somewhere else. So that's a really good wine for that. So Wednesday's Wine Wednesday, and we're going to cover some current events. I don't plan on covering anything most of the time, anything local, but I'm gonna cover something today that happened here in Southwest Louisiana, really all over our state. But I covered this in a blog a couple months ago, and it was the opposite. We had some weather coming a couple months ago, and the school board shut the schools down, and then the weather didn't come, and people were just on their ass on social media. Well, today was the opposite. We had some really, really bad weather come in last night, and the school board didn't shut the schools down. Did not shut them down till kids went to school. School buses were rolling, from what I understand, and then they closed around 8:30, and they are taking a beating on that. Now, I'm not here to say they're right or wrong. I can say that, and I said this in my blog, the people in our school board administration that make those decisions, top notch guys. They're friends of mine. I know them. I'm not defending them. That ain't not my job to defend them. That's not the route that I'm going. But I can tell you that the people that made that decision, their intentions were in the right place. Did they get it wrong, man? I don't know. I don't know if they did or not. I don't know the information they had. That's not my job to judge them. This is where I stand on that. We have got to, and I say this a lot, we have got to stop worrying about the government, living our lives for us, and making our decisions for us. Now, I get it. I'm going to take a beating from some people on that. I'm okay with that. But let me explain myself. Yes, I know it's their job to open or close the schools. That's your kids. That's your kids. You make the decision. If you don't, they're making that blanket. We have a really, for those who are listening, who are not familiar with Southwest Louisiana, Calcasieu Parish, you talk about diverse parish. We have very rural, we have city. The school buses are rolling. They're having to make a decision for the entire parish. You know your dynamics. You know your area, your roadways. You understand that. You make that decision. Now, I know what the opposition is going to say. Well, if I just don't send my kid to school, they're going to get an unexcused absence. Well, maybe so. Probably not. I think they would welcome some self responsibility and you making that decision yourself. But let's be honest. 2 weeks ago, when little Johnny's stomach was hurting, or he said his stomach was hurting, it wasn't hurting, and it's because he stayed up late at night, stayed up too late playing video games. You let him stay home then. Why not now? The government is not there to run our lives. They should not. We don't want them there. I come from a very conservative area, and we want small government. We don't want government telling us what to do and until we do. Those are your kids. You make that decision. And you also make those contingencies. Have your contingency plans in place about transportation. If you're having to go to work, what's your plan? What systems and plans? No different than a workplace. What's your standard operating procedure? What is your SOP for your house? What's your contingency plan? There's parts of our parish that's been out. Electricity, it's going to be going on 24 hours by the time they get it. Yes, we pay for electricity, and they have a responsibility, but you have circumstances like this. What's your contingency plan? Do you have backup generators? Do you have backup power? Do you have those things? I didn't have those for years. When I bought the house I live in now 3 years ago, first thing I did was put a whole house generator. Yes, I know it's expensive, and I'm not a rich person. But instead of buying the $80,000 SUV, buy the 50. Get you a generator. Look, I'm not criticizing. I'm not giving financial advice. My point is this: we should be living our lives. We should be taking care of ourselves and not dependent upon anybody to make those decisions, depending on anybody to come and save us. That's not what the government is for. That's not what we want. And yes, I just did my taxes. Tax day is coming up in a couple of days, right? Sickening. It is sickening how much taxes that my family paid this year. But also, I came from a government agency. Do you have wasteful spending in government? Yes. Yes, you do. Where I came from, I'm not saying it didn't ever happen, but it really, we're very fiscally responsible agency. But I came from a law enforcement agency. We have to respond to the calls of service, and you have to have the resources available to do that. Well, let's quit calling the police for every little thing. Let's quit calling for the police for things we shouldn't be calling the police about. The police are not there to solve your child custody issues. If your baby's mom or your baby's dad and y'all can't get along and figure out child custody, it's not for the police to handle. But when you call them constantly, I'm just using them as an example. There's other government agencies that we're depending on that we shouldn't. When we stop depending on these government agencies for every little thing, then maybe we can stop paying so many damn taxes. Maybe I'm living in a dream world. But yes, I do know we pay a lot of taxes for our school board, and that's their job. But the bottom line is, that's your kids, that's your life, that's your responsibility, and hey, that's your call. You make that decision, and you know what? You're making that decision for the betterment of your family. You're making the decision best for your kids. Sometimes consequences will come with it. We can look at the weather. We can look at a radar. And like I said, you've got, I don't know, man, 20, 30,000 kids going to schools in this parish. There are 20, 30,000 different circumstances. And we're asking and expecting government officials to make the decision that is the right one for all 20 or 30,000. That's not going to happen. It's not. They're going to have to make the best decision as a whole. They've got different facilities, some with power, some without power. instead of getting on Facebook, going to these meetings, and look, voice your opinion. I believe in that. I believe we should. We pay taxes. We should voice our opinion. But so my point is, before we do that, I'm not saying don't do it, but before we do that, let's make sure that we have our stuff in order, that we have our plans in place to take care of our families, to make sure that our kids are safe. There is nobody, no government agency that is responsible for the safety of your kids more than you are. So let's get the government out of it. Let's make the right decisions for them. So tomorrow, full podcast, High Level Human Podcast is airing. This week's guest, really good friend of mine, Dave Quinn. He's a normal dude, man. He is a normal dude, real dude, but you want to talk about a high level man. This man's almost 60 years old, competing in strongman competitions. He raised 3 great kids. One of them plays professional football, one of the best athletes I've ever seen. But what Dave, more than how I got to know him, was this man's dedication to developing and help raising. It takes a village to raise kids. He was part of that village for so many kids and helped produce some really, really high level. Now they're adults, young men, young women. He's my friend, great guy. Y'all are going to enjoy listening to him tomorrow. He's just a different level guy. So I'm excited about having him. Friday will be the first episode. Fridays were free. I'm like, hey man, why we got Fridays free? We need to do something. So Friday will be the first episode of The World Doesn't Give a Fuck Friday. Excited about that. I've got some good material lined up for that. But what I'm the most excited about this week, it won't be tomorrow. We're still working some logistics out. But if you watch the podcast with my son who has Tourette's, I made a challenge to him that day for him to. He's got a good story. He's got some good lessons, some good things to share. So he has agreed. So next Thursday will be him as the host. I won't be anywhere around. He will be hosting the first episode on this channel, Ticking Away Thursday, his life with Tourette syndrome. Proud of him for that. So excited. Like I said, working some logistics out. We'll have them done by next week. It's going to be a great show. He's excited. I'm excited, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So until then, until tomorrow, McGee is out.